Well, Rhoda was a natural thing. After 4 years, Valerie was getting a little uh, anxious to go out on her own. Her managers and agents were pushing for that. And we thought, why keep her here if she doesn't want to be in this show anymore, if she feels like it's holding her back? Why keep her here, but why let her get away at the same time? So our thought of just spinning her off into her own show as Rhoda gave us a big leg up, into an audience that was already there for it, audience who understood her, uh, wanted to see her fly on her own. Uh, we had great success with Rhoda in the first year. Um, what was our problem was, as I mentioned earlier, I think Fred Silverman wanting to, as head of CBS, wanting to marry her early in the season, early in that first year, during sweeps, as a stunt, worked brilliantly as far as that went, because it was one of the highest rated shows of the year. Everybody was watching it. I remember Howard Cosell on Monday Night Football opposite was saying, "I don't know if anybody's watching the game tonight. I think everybody's watching Rhoda's wedding." I think it was something about there weren't many people in the stands that night. And he said, "I think they're all at Rhoda's wedding." Anyway, that worked. That part of it worked. But once you took a character like Rhoda, who was this free spirit, and sort of tied her down into a domestic situation, even though she continued to work, and we had tried to make the show contentious, her and her husband. The chemistry wasn't quite right. We never did quite find the right man to play the part. He was good. David Grohl was good, but he didn't have what Valerie had, and it was an unequal match. And so we stayed with it for probably 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, and then decided we would get a lot more mileage out of them getting divorced and putting Rhoda back out there again.
Now, at this point, because you had talked about all of the problems you'd had with the network, with the whole concept of divorce, here you'd gotten Rhoda actually married to a character that the audience knew.
Yeah.
At this point, was the network more open to the idea of divorce?
I think completely by that point. It didn't bother them in the slightest. I don't. It's funny that you mention it, because I don't recall a single peep out of them, because I think they knew about that point that the show wasn't working about as well as it should be after the first few years, where it did do very, very well. It was top 10 and did quite well. But then it began to tail off, and I think they thought, well, whatever we can do to make it more edgy, a little more interesting, was going to be okay with them. Funny, though, it was only, well, by then it was probably 8 years later.